It's your friend the Wren, back again, as I say. Sometimes I used to say, Diegwe, agus filter Odistak, is Misha Drolin and Will Tugama. That was my old sign-in. Well, you obviously clicked on this video because the title got you. So now that I have your time, I'm asking you to please be kind, patient, because what I'm about to share is personal and difficult for me to express verbally. If you've watched my videos or you've gotten to know me, you could say that I have a different way of communicating. I take awkward pauses. My cadence can be uncomfortable or annoying. I'm fully aware of these things. Oh, we have some sirens. Don't mind them. I live in this city. From the earliest ages, I've had a difficult time with communication. And it's on my end. I feel that I can fully understand the person trying to communicate with me. But my replies are difficult because of something that I have. And in real life, away from YouTube, I should say, most people don't know this about me. I've never really shared this. There's a few people. There's a very few close people that kind of know, but most people don't know this about me. I've kept it hidden for a long time, somewhat out of embarrassment, but also because it's difficult or annoying for me to have to explain it. Why I'm sharing this now, I don't really know. It's time for it just to be out and fully transparent. But I have what you would call synesthesia. If you don't know what synesthesia is, I was born with it. My earliest memories have it. I remember it being getting more, I would call it vibrant, as pre-adolescence and then teenage years, adult years, and I've written down some things that might give you a better example. Now, there's different forms of synesthesia. It is severe for a lot of people, and there's rare types. Some people have one specific type of synesthesia, and some people kind of have a hodgepodge of different categories. I have that. It's been difficult having friends and relationships, raising children, and professionally too. Verbally, it's hard to communicate. For me, it's very easy to type things out, write things down, and feel a sense of satisfaction of, well, hopefully I'm understood. But I'm usually not. From an early age, I remember, I think it was around kindergarten or first grade, when I really started to notice these things, as not everybody was like this. Now, I'm not saying I'm special or I'm unique. It's not a handicap. I'm not a victim of this. It's just different. My experience and my perception of life is different. Now, it could be argued that everybody is perceiving things, and they take in with their five senses different than everybody else does. But it is pretty much agreed on a baseline that, there is these people, and then there is people that have this. So I'll get to some examples. Maybe that'll help you kind of understand what it's like for me. So with my synesthesia, there's letters and numbers often have colors. I would say for me, and I don't know about others, but vowels are brighter. Vowels, the hue or the saturation is brighter. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Numbers, evens and odds, can screw me up. With music and sounds, there's colors, there's patterns, there's textures. When I say texture, I mean something like a woven basket or woven cloth. There's a texture to it. There's shapes, sometimes geometric, but not usually, and colored lights with music. And with music, because there's feeling and there's emotion, that is a complex experience. Words, yeah. Words can have, not all words, but very specific words to me have a taste, like there's a flavor. And yes, sweet words, I can perceive sweetness. Evil words, bad words, words that are meant to hurt. Obviously there's an emotion and then there's a sensation with that. But really bad ones that are like purposely directed to hurt me, those types of words have a flavor too. Sounds, and this doesn't happen all the time, but sounds can sometimes be felt physically. Now, picture yourself feeling like heavy bass in your chest, and you can feel the vibration. It's similar. I can feel a physical sensation on my skin with very specific sounds. Not all sounds. Things like binaural beats, like tones, are either very soothing or cause like mass panic. And it's an instantaneous. Emotions. Emotions have texture and color. Sometimes I've had dreams where it's nothing but abstract color and texture. And there's a feeling behind the emotion of the color and the texture, which is perceived as like a holistic perception. And this is why it's difficult, because like I fail and fall short on my ability to communicate these things. That's why for the longest time I have been silent. It's frustrating. That's the perfect word. It's frustrating that this is normal for me. And it doesn't hinder me. It doesn't bother me. But when I have to explain it or put things into words for people to give them examples, it feels like it doesn't do it justice. There are certain people in my life, very close people, that they have a color. Now you could call it like an aura, but I wouldn't. But for the sake of example, you could call it an aura. I wouldn't call it that, but they have a color. And that color has a number. Sometimes that color has a flavor. Sometimes these things overlap depending on how much of an intimate relationship I have with the person, how close I am, meaning like how much I let them in. When it comes to deep stuff, philosophy, theology, certain types of math, time, space, like really deep topics. Those are my favorite topics. Mysticism, spirituality, religions, these have always been my favorite topics, even since childhood. There is an emotion, and that emotion has colors and textures. And sometimes it's multicolored depending on the topic or the theme of the conversation. So really deep things, which are my favorite things, I would say my senses feel more heightened. I'm very excited about these topics. I love discussing in depth about, quantum science and spirituality and theology and all sorts of things from multicultures. But when I have to communicate them, it's difficult on my end because I'm often left feeling not understood. And that's not a good feeling to have if you generally have a feeling of that someone on the other end of your spewing is agitated or frustrated, or they're just not understanding what you're getting at. And there's no good way for me to put it that I'm perceiving a reality that you're not. It's just a different experience of life. And it's not always pleasant, but I would say 90%, maybe more, if I would put it in a number, is neutral. It's just happening. I would say as a child, when I found out that people weren't like this, I just started to shut up. I just didn't want to talk about it. I just kept it to myself. And I guess a good way to put it would be is if you've ever had like a very powerful or deep hallucinogenic experience, maybe you've had psilocybin or DMT or something, and you kind of walk away from an experience by saying, oh, I could see the music. Even though I would say it's a different experience than that because I've had that too. It's similar. Your brain's doing things that it normally doesn't do, and it's a similar experience. It's not like I'm walking around hallucinating or tripping. That's not what synesthesia is like. It's just, I guess my brain's wired differently. But these are not, they're not metaphors. This is not like imagination. This is not active imagination. This is not me like enforcing my will on, this glass of water, saying, okay, okay, how does that make me feel? What color is this? That's not what this is. It's very different than that. And it's difficult for me to explain. Annoying, frustrating. And I think a lot of times when people have a problem with me, it's probably because I've not been honest with them about my experience. Um, Two of my children are colorblind. I always wondered where that came from. Maybe maybe that's from the mother. I think I think colorblindness is a genetic trait that's passed down from the mothers. And that always made me wonder too, like they're perceiving color differently. Like yes, we're all seeing the same wavelength that is translated into, I don't know, like blue or red or green or something, and they perceive it differently. They're seeing the same wavelength, but their brain tells them it's different. Just like my brain tells me that things are different. It's more, I don't want to say for the normal person because that's kind of an unfair assessment. But it seems like what I've been told that other people experience sounds kind of flat, where for me things are layered. You know, if you've ever experienced a song that is extremely, let's say it's a sad song, okay? And you feel it very deeply. Maybe you're driving in the car and you're alone and that song comes on and you start crying and you feel it and you associate it with a memory and you associate it with this thing that happened to you or how it might make you feel on a specific time or some sort of loss that you've had. Try to picture that having texture or color and the emotions that kind of rise and fall are different colored too. So that's kind of my insight into my synesthesia. It's it's been a journey. it's it's just something that I live with that's normal to me. But as I'm getting older, I'm finding it increasingly more difficult to engage with people in a verbal dialogue about topics that I love because I get extremely excited and then there's banter back and forth. It happened today at work. I was talking to my client's mother, and they're from India, and she was bringing up certain things in the Hindu culture, and my mind made direct associations with Iron Age Celtic people, and how so many things are so similar. There are so many things that are similar between India and ancient Celtic people, and I don't know why. Uh, it could be from the Proto-Indo-Europeans. There is that root there, so maybe there's some context. Uh, Definitely worth some study on, or some looking into just for the entertainment value. But when we had this dialogue, um, my senses were peaking. You could say there's peaking moments. Now, these things, for me, they're automatic and they're happening all the time. And I have these little idiosyncrasies, these little quirks about me that you would say are strange or unusual, aberrant. Um, like I live in a city and I'm not from this city. I used to live outside of it for most of my life. And I know the city, but I don't know this section very well. And I've lived here for about 2 years. And when I have to go to places that I've never been to, or maybe places, no, that's not a good way to say it, places that I've only been to maybe 2 or 3 times, and I know there's like different ways to get there, I challenge myself by not using the GPS. But in order for me to do that, in order for me to use, I guess, that memory file in your brain, to me, it's what I call a bee dance. And when bees come back to the hive, they communicate, where this patch of flowers are that has lots of pollen, and they use the sun. And then they'll do a dance to communicate, turn left here, turn right there, fly this way, kind of like, it's like a navigation communication. And when I'm in my car and I start the car, buckles on, car's started, mirrors all checked, I'm ready to go. Like I do this like internal bee dance. And to me, that's normal. And there's a sound to it. There's a sound based on the directions I need to go. And I can hum them. I know, turning left here is north, and I have to go so far north before I head west. And I can bee dance it. I'm like, like, I'll be in the car, like, and I know where to go because I bee danced my way there. And then once that happens, I generally don't have to bee dance my way back there ever again. But the sounds are still there while I'm driving. And it's like, to me, it's like a form of, what do they call that when your ears are ringing? Is that like tendinitis or tinnitus or something like that? It's a specific frequency that I hear. Like if you've been in the, like, if you go to like, it's not necessarily the humming of the fluorescent lights, which is also annoying. It's like more like the motor from a shower fan. That type of hum, but in different frequencies, if I'm navigating. So texting is more of a comfort level for me. Texting is more comfortable because I don't have to hit send right away. I can read what I'm saying and then hit send, and if it sounds right, then I'll hit send. But even then, I'm never satisfied. That is something that is bothersome. It is bothersome for me that communication is difficult. And I don't know how to get any better at that. But maybe now that I'm just kind of getting this out, it'll be easier to talk about with strangers, coworkers, there's friends that I have that don't even know I have this. Very good close friends. There are a lot of people that don't know that I have this type of synesthesia. And I don't want the attention. I don't want the constant questioning and having to explain. That's why I kept it in for so long. It's just, I don't want to be treated any differently. I don't want to be seen as unique or special or weird, or this is just who I am. But for the sake of communication, I wanted you guys to know that, when you're watching my content, if you see me like pause for quite some time, or I seem kind of stuck, I get stuck just on basic choice of words or trying to express my emotions properly. Because those words and those emotions are layered for me. So I just wanted to share that, and please be kind, and let me know if you know anybody that has synesthesia.